Hello boys and girls, a very good evening and welcome to this live refresher session for the SSC CGL Tier 2 exam brought to you by TalentSprint. Well, at the outset, I would like to congratulate you all for clearing the SSC CGL Tier 1 exam, and I'm sure you will do well in the next round as well, which is the Tier 2 exam starting from the 18th of January. So we just have about 20 days left for the second round, I would say, and I'm sure you're fully geared up for the same. Well, the advantage that we have in the CGL exam is there's nothing new that you need to prepare for, right? You know that in Tier 1 we are tested on quantitative aptitude, general intelligence and reasoning, English comprehension and general awareness. What happens in Tier 2 is only quantitative aptitude and English language. Well, of course, the difficulty level is higher in Tier 2 when compared to Tier 1. And also the scheme of exam is a little different, but then in terms of the concepts and the topics that you have to prepare for, everything is the same, right? The weightage changes slightly a bit from Tier 1 to Tier 2 with respect to different topics there. But overall, the point that I'm trying to make is I'm pretty sure that if you have cleared the Tier 1 examination, you are almost there to take the Tier 2 as well, right? All you need to do is practice more and more so that you can make the most out of that time given to you for the second round, right? Now, like you all know, here we have got two papers. Paper 1 or one of the papers is on quantitative abilities and paper 2 is on English language and comprehension. Now, quantitative abilities paper here has got 100 questions and you'll be given 2 hours of time, right? And English language and comprehension will have 200 questions with 2 hours of time. So what I see is in terms of time management, it's not really that difficult. Like if you look at Tier 1, we had 100 questions and just 60 minutes of time. Right? Across the paper, we had 100 questions, 25 each from quant, reasoning, English and general awareness, and just 1 hour of time, which is 60 minutes. When it comes to Tier 2, we have 100 questions in aptitude, but then 2 hours of time, 120 minutes of time. So you have more than 1 minute per question. So, I mean, I agree that difficulty level is higher, but you can easily manage the time for attempting all these 100 questions here. Okay, and similarly in English language, while there are 200 questions, the questions are pretty easy to answer. I mean, you don't have to spend so much of time answering these questions there. So what happens is there also 2 hours of time for attempting 200 questions is a good mix, right? Easy to manage, I would say. So overall, I am of the view that it's very easy to manage time when it comes to the Tier 2 examination. All you have to do is practice more and more questions and questions of higher difficulty level so that you can maximize your score in the round 2 as well. Okay, now what are we going to do in these sessions, or what are we going to do as a part of this refresher series is what I'm going to talk about now, and then we will look at the actual questions for the session today. So we have planned for a series of 8 sessions, 8 live sessions for your Tier 2 examination, which is tentatively scheduled to start from January 18th. Right, so we are on December 21 today. January 18th onwards your exam starts, and in this span of time from 21st of December to 18th of Jan, we will conduct 8 special live sessions only for SSC CGL Tier 2 examination. Now 4 of these sessions will be on previous year papers or last year paper. In fact, we will have 2 sessions on quantitative abilities and 2 sessions on English language and comprehension, and the other 4 sessions will be on those additional topics that we come across in quant and English language papers of Tier 2 exam, right? So these sessions will be on trigonometry, geometry, algebra, maybe questions on surds and indices, and then there will be 1 session on English language as well. So overall 8 sessions, 4 on last year paper and 4 on those additional topics that we come across. Okay, and today is the first session as a part of this refresher, and we are going to look at quantitative abilities part 1. Now what exactly are we going to do here? Well, we have come across 8 question papers from last year, 8 Tier 2 question papers from last year, and what we are trying to do is choose best of the questions, the most difficult questions from these 8 papers, and solve it in this live session here today. Okay, remember in this session today we will not be focusing on topics like trigonometry, geometry, algebra, because anyway we have special sessions coming up for those topics exclusively, right? We will focus only on the arithmetic ability part, and my view is that questions asked are very easy even in Tier 2 examination. So I have got a bunch of questions here, all chosen from the last year paper, right? I repeat, all the questions that we are going to solve today were asked in the last year's SSC CGL Tier 2 examination in one set or the other set, right? So we have some 20-25 questions for today. Let's quickly run through these questions. I'll give you some time to try it out and then discuss the solution with you all. So if you're all clear with the the series of these live sessions, we can get started. I can see that a lot of you have joined the chat already. So if you're all set, we can start discussing these questions. We have Preetam Das, Chandrahas Yadav, and Neeraj, Sajid, Rishu Goel, Kaniti Venkatesh, Ravindra, Vidya Rajan, Amit Kumar, Sai Pavan, Anand Rao, and many others there. So welcome to you. Welcome to this session on SSC CGL Tier 2 refresher. If you're all set, I would like to present the questions that we have. Now these questions will be from different topics of arithmetic aptitude, which includes time and work, time and distance, allegations and mixtures, profit and loss, simple and compound interest, mensuration. All right. Yeah, so I've already got a confirmation from Ayushi Singh and Neeraj Jha. So let's get started. I'll present the questions to you all now. And all right, and here we go. The first question from number theory or number systems is on your screens now. Look at what the question says. So the sum of three positive numbers is 18 and their product is 162. Sum of three positive numbers is 18 and their product is 162. If the sum of two numbers is equal to the third, then the sum of squares of the number is. So this is one question that was asked in SSC CGL Tier 2 last year, right? He says sum of three numbers is 18, sum of three positive numbers is 18 and the product of these numbers is 162. If the sum of two of these numbers is equal to the third number, then what is the sum of the squares of these numbers? Okay, what is the sum of the squares of these numbers? You have about 1 minute to try this. Your clock starts now. Waiting for answers to come in. You have to find out the sum of the squares of these three numbers. So basically you have to find out the three numbers first and then get the sum of the squares. 126. All right. Many of you have got the answer as 126. Neeraj, Amit Kumar, Biman, then Sashank, Milan, and many others. Okay, not many of you have actually got it, but yeah, all those who have solved it have got 126. Waiting for a few more responses. You have just a few more seconds. Quick. All right, time is up. I think many of you have been able to solve this one and you've got 126 the answer. Let's look at the solution now. So here we go. Look at the question. The sum of three positive numbers is 18 and their product is 162. If the sum of two of these numbers is equal to the third, then the sum of the squares of the number is, right? So basically say sum of three positive numbers. Sum of three positive numbers is 18. Let's assume the numbers are A, B, and C. So A plus B plus C is equal to 18. Then it says that product is 162, which means A into B into C is equal to 162. If the sum of two of the numbers is equal to the third, now this is an important point. We know that the product is 162. Then it says sum of two numbers is equal to the third. So basically, let's say A plus B is equal to C. Sum of two of the numbers is equal to the third number. Now you can choose in any format here. It can be A plus B equals to C, or B plus C equals to A, or A plus C equals to B. That doesn't really affect the answer, right? So sum of two numbers is equal to the third. Then what is the sum of the squares of the numbers? So basically then A squared plus B squared plus C squared is equal to what? That's the question. So all I've done so far is converted this question, which was in English language, into mathematical equations, right? We know that A plus B plus C is 18, ABC is 162, A plus B equals to C. Find out A squared plus B squared plus C squared. Now, if I have to kind of explain it in simple terms, we have got three equations and three unknowns, right? A, B, and C are the three variables. So three equations with three unknowns can be solved. Solve the three equations, find out the values of A, B, C, and then substitute A, B, C here to get the required answer. Okay? So how do we do this? Simple. Substitute A plus B equals to C in this equation. So what do we get? We can say, see, A plus B is equal to C. So I can say C plus C, which is 2C equals to 18, which implies C is equal to 9. And if C is equal to 9, then A plus B is also equal to 9. right? Because A plus B is equal to C. So basically what we know is A plus B is equal to 9. A plus B equals to 9. Also substitute C equals to 9 in the second equation. See, we know that C is equal to 9, put it back here. So what do we get? AB into 9 is equal to 162. So from this, what is AB? AB will be 162 by 9. 162 by 9 is how much? It goes how many times? 18 times, right? 18 times. So we can say A into B equals to 18, right? A into B is equal to 18. That's it. I think what we have done now is 3 equations in 3 unknowns have been reduced to 2 equations in 2 unknowns. A plus B equals to 9 and AB equals to 18. A plus B equals to 9 and AB is equal to 18. Now you can solve these 2 equations to find out A and B. We already know what C is. We know that C is equal to 9. Now you have to find out what are A and B. Now without having to put pen on paper, you know that if sum is 9 and product is 18, what are the 2 values? 6 and 3. Remember, both are positive numbers. I mean, all are positive numbers. So the only way possible is one number is 6, the other number is 3. Now you can take A equals to 6, B equals to 3, or A equals to 3 and B equals to 6. That doesn't really matter. Basically, one value is 6, the other value is 3, right? 6 plus 3 equals to 9 and 6 into 3 equals to 18. So I don't really have to solve the 2 equations, right? I mean, you know, mentally you can figure out what the 2 values are, right? The values are 6 and 3. So from this we can conclude that A and B are equal to 6 and 3 in some order there. That's it. We know all the 3 values. C is equal to 9, A and B are equal to 6 and 3. What is he asking us to get? Sum of the squares of these numbers. Sum of the squares of these numbers. So, you know, we can say the answer is 6 squared plus 3 squared plus 9 squared. So 81 plus 9 is 90, 90 plus 36 is 126. That's your answer. Option 2, 126. All right. I hope all of you have got the solution. Do not go by the length of the explanation. See, half of what is written on the screen here is just the question, right? All that you see on the left hand side, all these steps are nothing but the question itself, right? A plus B equals to A plus B plus C is 18, ABC is 162, A plus B equals to C. This is just the question part. All you have to do is work on these equations here. So 126 option 2 is the answer. If you're all clear with this, I can go for the next one. Yeah. Okay, we have Ashwini Kumar here who says my program is about to get expired on 31st of December. Is there any way I could just see the live sessions which will be held in Jan? Ashwini, I think just drop a line to support@talentsprint.com and they'll help you with this, right? Not the right forum to get answer to that question. I'm sure our support team will help you out. Please drop the same message to support@talentsprint.com and they will get back to you with the best solution. Should we go for the next question now? Clear to all of you? Can we go for the next one? Now you can also think of eliminating the wrong answers here. I mean, while what we have done here is the complete solution, but if you want, you can also eliminate the options like I think what Rishu Goel has pointed out, that 126 is the only number which is divisible by 18. See, try and expand. I mean, that will need a little bit of algebra for you know, equations on algebra you must know very well. Like if you expand A plus B plus C whole square, what happens? What is given in the options is if you expand A square plus B square plus C square. So try and represent A square plus B square plus C square. See if it is possible to, you know, get it in terms of A plus B plus C into something. Yeah, and that way you will know that actually A square plus B square plus C square should be divisible by A plus B plus C, and 126, like what Rishu Goel has pointed out, is the only option which is divisible by 18, and hence that can be taken as the answer, which again is a very smart solution there. Good. Let's go for the next one now, right? Next question on your screens here. Now this is from Time and Work. See what it says. John does half piece of work in 3 hours. Joe does 1/4 of the remaining work in 1 hour, and George finishes remaining work in 5 hours. How long would it have taken 3 working together to do the work? So it's talking about 3 persons here: John, Joe, and George. John can do half of the work in 3 hours. Joe does 1/4 of the remaining work in 1 hour, and George finishes the remaining work in 5 hours. So if this is the scenario, how long would it take for all three of them working together to finish the work? You have again 1 minute for this. In fact, you should try and get the answer in less than 1 minute. Your clock has started ticking. All right, the time is up. I think we have got only 3 responses so far. Shashank has got 28 by 11. Milan has got option 4, yes. And Bhavani has also got 28 by 11. And time is also up. Yeah. You cannot be spending so much time for answering this simple question from time and work. All right. Should we discuss this now? Okay, last few seconds for those who are still trying it out. Amit Kumar has also joined the group. He's got option 4 as the answer. And so has Chandrahas Yadav, right? He has also got option. Chandrahas Yadav has got option 1. 2 1 by 7. 2 1 by 7. All right. So confusion here. 4 of you have got option 4 and 1 person has got option 1. 10 more seconds and then we'll take up the solution. It's a very simple question. All you have to do is find out the independent times required for each one of them and then see how much time is required if all 3 of them work together. Sajid has also got option 1. So there's some competition for those who have got option 4. Sajid also says it should be option 1, 2 1 by 7 hours. So is it 2 1 by 7 or 2 8 by 11? Chandini Priya has also got option 1. Good. So tough competition. Option 1 versus option 4. Option 1 versus option 4. Okay, time is up. Let's discuss the solution now. So here's the question. John does half a piece of work in 3 hours. Joe does 1/4 of the remaining work in 1 hour. And George finishes remaining work in 5 hours. How long would it have taken 3 working together to do the work? Right? So basically it says there are 3 persons, John, Joe and George. John can do half piece of work, half of the work in 3 hours. Right? Half of the work in 3 hours. See, understand, if John can do half of the work in 3 hours, he will do the full work in 6 hours. So it's clear that John will do the full work in 6 hours. Yes or no? You're able to do half of the work. Half of the work, it takes 3 hours. So to do the full work, you will need 6 hours. Yeah? You'll need 6 hours. Now, Joe does 1/4 of the remaining work. See, understand, if John has already finished half of the work, what is remaining? The remaining is other half. Right? Remaining is other half. So Joe does 1/4 of the other half, which means 1/8. You're getting it? Joe does 1/4 of the remaining work. Remaining work is half of the work. Half of the work has already been done by John. Remaining is half. Joe does 1/4 of that half. What is 1/4 of half? It is 1/8. So I can say Joe does 1/8 of the work. You understand? 1 by 4 into 1 by 2 is 1 by 8. So Joe does 1/8 of the work in 1 hour. If Joe does 1/8 of the work in 1 hour, the full work will be done in 8 hours. So Joe will take 8 hours to do the full work. You're getting it? You can do this mentally. That's the reason I'm not writing all the steps on paper. Joe does 1/8 of the work in 1 hour. To do 1/8, you take 1 hour. So to do the full work is 1 unit, right? You will take 8 hours. Now, George finishes remaining work in 5 hours. See, understand, Joe has done how much? Joe has done 1/8. Joe has done 1/8 of the work in 1 hour. George finishes the remaining work. Now the question is, what is remaining? What is remaining? See, total work is 1 unit. John has already finished half of the work, so that half has to be removed. And Joe has finished how much? 1/4 of the remaining. Remaining was half. Joe has finished 1/4 of it. Joe has finished 1/8 of the work. 1/8 of the work. So 1/8 is also over. So what is remaining? Remaining for George. Work done by George. Basically, work done by George is equal to total work minus the work done by John minus the work done by Joe. So how much will this be? 8 is LCM. So 8 minus 4 minus 1. You understand? 8 times, 4 times and 1 time. 8 minus 4, 8 minus 5. So 3 by 8. So basically, George does 3/8 of the work. 3/8 of the work in how many hours? 5 hours. 3/8 of the work in 5 hours. Again, if 3/8 of the work is done in 5 hours, total work, 1 unit of the work will be done in how many hours? Total work is always 1 unit, right? George is able to finish 3/8 in 5 hours. So 1 unit will be finished in how many hours? 40 by 3 hours. You understand? 1 into. So this question mark here will be equal to 1 into 5 by 3 by 8. That comes out to be 40 by 3. So I can say George will do the full work in 40 by 3 hours. 40 by 3 hours. That's it. So we know that John does a piece of work in 6 hours, Joe does the same work in 8 hours, and George does it in 40 by 3 hours. You have to be careful about the remaining work calculation here, right? Remaining work after John was half. Joe did 1/4 of it. So Joe has finished only 1/8 of the remaining work. I mean, Joe has only finished 1/8. Right? Joe has only finished 1/8. So half is done by John, Joe has done 1/8, the remaining is 3/8. That 3/8 was done in 5 hours. So total work George will need 40 by 3 hours. Now how long would it take if all three of them work together? You can go by unitary method. Either you can use the shortcut. What is the formula? If three persons A, B, C work together, let's say A takes A hours, B takes B hours, and C takes C hours, all three of them together will take ABC by AB plus BC plus CA. That's one way of solving it. Otherwise, go by the unitary method. What is the unitary method? Find out the total capacity when all three of them are working together. So if John can finish the total work in 6 hours, his capacity is 1 by 6. What is Joe's capacity? Joe can do total work in 8 hours. So Joe's capacity is 1 by 8. Similarly, George can do the total work in 40 by 3 hours. So his capacity is 3 by 40. Or 1 by 40 by 3, which becomes 3 by 40. So find out the total capacity. Find out the total capacity. So 46 and 80. What is LCM? Can we take 80 as LCM? 120 as LCM. Let's take 120 as LCM. So 6 goes 20 times, 8 goes 15 times, and 40 goes 3 times. So 3 into 3 is 9. So 35 plus 3, 44 by 120. Right? You're able to follow. The LCM here for 6, 8 and 40, let's say, is 120. So 6 goes 20 times, 8 goes 15 times, and 40 goes 3 times. So 3 into 3, 9. So 35 plus 9, 44 by 120. Right? 44 by 120. 44 by 120 or 11 by 30. 11 by 30. So the total capacity is how much? 11 by 30. If all three of them are working together, the total capacity is 11 by 30, which implies the total time required will be 30 by 11. Remember, time is reciprocal of capacity. If the capacity is 11 by 30, time required will be 30 by 11. What is 30 by 11? 30 by 11 can be taken as 2 8 by 11 hours. 2 8 by 11. So option 4 has to be the right answer. Yes or no? Option 4, 2 8 by 11 has to be the right answer. Okay. Now I'm sure many of you had got option 1 as the answer, 2 1 by 7. I'll tell you where you have gone wrong. Let me just look at the reaction first, right? Option 4 is the final answer, 2 8 by 11. Now Amit Kumar says, I got 40 by 7 for George. I know why you have got 40 by 7 for George. Yeah. Then others have understood? Yeah. So Amit Kumar and others who have got option 1 as the answer, what you have done is you have assumed that if Joe does 1/8 of the work, the remaining work is 7 by 8 for George, and 7 by 8 was finished in 5 hours. So total work George can finish in 40 by 7 hours. But understand, Joe does 1/8 of the work. Does not mean that George will have to do remaining 7/8 of the work. Already half of the work has been finished by John. You're getting it? The total work is 1 unit, out of which John has done half. The remaining was half. Of this remaining half, Joe has done 1/4, which means 1/4 of half is 1/8. So Joe has done 1/8. So half was done by John, 1/8 was done by Joe. And now the remaining is, 1 minus half minus 1 by 8. You cannot take remaining as 7 by 8. All those who have got option 1, they have taken the remaining work as 7 by 8. Because if Joe has done 1/8, remaining is 7/8. So if Joe does 1/8, remaining 7/8 is done by George. 1 by 8 plus 7 by 8 is 1. 1 by 8 plus 7 by 8 is total 8 by 8, which is 1 unit. So if only these two guys have together finished 1 unit, what did John do? John also has done half of the work, right? So which means you are saying 1 unit of work is done by these two guys. John has done half of the work, total 1.5 units. No. Total work is always 1 unit, right? Total is always 1. Maximum work that you can do is 1 unit of the work. You cannot do 1.5 units of the work. So that's where you have gone wrong, right? George will do the remaining work. The remaining work is not 7 by 8. The remaining work is 1 minus half minus 1 by 8, which comes out to be 3 by 8. Okay. Got it now? Yeah. So Amit Kumar has confirmed that he has got it, and I'm assuming others have also followed it. But I would say very intelligent options given to you, right? I mean, option 1, 2 1 by 7 actually goes with the thought that, George has done 7/8 of the work. So very well framed options. You have to be careful. Option 4, 2 8 by 11 is the final answer. Let me now present the next question to you all, right? Another one coming on time and work. And here we go. So this time it says A does 2/5 of a work in 9 days, then B joined him and they together completed the remaining work in 6 days. B alone can finish the whole work in how many days? So this time it involves only 2 persons, and I'm sure you'll be able to get the right answer. Your clock starts now. Vishal, by the way, has asked a question on simplification. He says 20 plus 1 into 5 is equal to what? 101 or 25? It is 25. Bottomless principle, do the multiplication first and then addition. Okay, the time is up. I think many of you have got option 4 as the answer, but we have Bhavani who's got option 2, 8 2 by 11. So let's discuss. See what it says. A does 2/5 of a work in 9 days. Then B joined him and they together completed the remaining work in 6 days. B alone can finish the whole work in how many days? Now you see, A does 2/5 of the work in 9 days. So the total work will be done in how many days? 45 by 2 days. You can understand this mentally, right? I mean 2/5 in 9 days. So 1 unit in how many days? 9 by 2 by 5. That makes it 45 by 2. I hope you are able to follow, right? What's the calculation behind it? 2 by 5, 2/5 of the work can be done in 9 days. So 1 unit of the work can be done in how many days? When you cross multiply, you get 1 into 9 by 2 by 5. So this comes out to be 45 by 2, right? But you need not put pen on paper. That's what I'm trying to, explain here. You can directly say that A can do the total work in 45 by 2 days. 2/5 was done in 9 days. So total work will be done in 9 into 5 by 2, 45 by 2 days. So A does the whole work in 45 by 2 days. A can do the full work in 45 by 2 days. Now look at what happens next. Then B joined him. After doing 2/5 of the work, B joined him and they together completed the remaining work. What is remaining work? See, 2/5 of the work is already done by A. So remaining is 3/5. 2/5 of the work is already done by A. Remaining is 3/5. So this 3/5 of the work was done by A and B together. A and B together in how many days? 6 days. So understand, now this calculation was for A. Now do the calculation for A and B together. A and B together can do 3/5 of the work. They can do 3/5 of the work in how many days? 6 days. So they will do the full work, 1 unit of the work in how many days? 10 days. Again, 6 into 5 by 3. Yes or no? This question mark will be equal to cross multiplication, 1 into 6 by 3 by 5. So this comes out to be 30 by 3, which is 10 days. Yeah. So I can say A and B together can do the whole work in how many days? 10 days. That's it. B alone can finish the work in how many days? So you know that A can finish the work in 45 by 2 days. A and B together can finish the work in 10 days. B alone will finish the work in how many days? B alone will finish the work in how many days? How do you do this? Total capacity of A and B together is 1 by 10. Total capacity of A alone is 2 by 45. Remember, capacity is reciprocal of time. So if A and B take 10 days, their capacity is 1 by 10. If A takes 45 by 2 days, his capacity is 2 by 45. Reciprocate this. Just take the inverse of the given value here. So total capacity of A and B is 1 by 10. Capacity of A is 45. So from total capacity, if I subtract A's capacity, from the total capacity, if we subtract A's capacity, will we not get B's capacity? Yes. So I can say the capacity for B's capacity is equal to what? Let's say 90 is LCM. So this goes 9 minus 4, 5 by 90. 9 minus 4, it gives you 5 by 90, which is 1 by 18. So B's capacity is 1 by 18. If capacity is 1 by 18, the number of days will be 18 days. Yes or no? If your capacity is 1 by 18, days is reciprocal of this, inverse of this. So 18 by 1, 18 days. I can say B can finish the whole work in 18 days. Option 4. Right? Option 4 is the right answer. But I don't know, how did Chandani Priya got 10 days? How did Chandani Priya get 10 days? And then we had Ajit who had got option 2, 8 2 by 11. Yeah. Bhavani also got 8 2 by 11. So you guys have to, get your basics right. See, these are all very simple questions. I don't find anything complex here. And you're going wrong even in such simple ones. It's little cautioning, right? I mean, you got to pay attention to these details and understand the question properly, right? How did you get 8 2 by 11? Or how do you get 10 days? He's asking you to find out how many days will B alone take. So option 4 is the answer. Let's go to the next one now, right? The next question is here on your screens now, and this is from profit and loss, something to deal with discounts, marked price, and profit and customs duty, etc. So I'll leave you with this question for about a minute. Your clock starts now. Let's see how many of you get the right answer. All right, guys, the time is up, and I think option 3 is what I see as the most common response here. Milan, Amit Kumar, Bhavani, And are you seeing all 4 of you have got the same answer, option 3, 880. Now, while your answer seems to be right, what is disappointing is that only 4 of you have been able to solve this. And this, in my view, is a sitter, right? Not a very complex one. You just have to play with those numbers to arrive at the right answer, right? Neeraj has also joined the group and he's also got 880. Good. So the best part is at least all of you are on the same page with respect to the right answer. Let's now look at the solution to this question. Remember, the time is up. I have given you more than what is required. See, how do we solve it? So the question here goes as follows. A watch dealer pays 10% customs duty on a watch which costs rupees 500 abroad, right? So there's a dealer who pays 10% customs duty on a watch which costs you rupees 500 abroad. He desires to make a profit of 20% after giving a discount of 25% to the buyer, right? So his intention is to make a profit of 20% after giving a discount of 25% to the buyer. So the marked price should be what? What should be the marked price is the question here. Now you know what marked price means, right? Marked price is the list price, the price which is displayed, right? You need not sell the article on that price, but that's what you display, right? And then you give a discount on the marked price, finally making some profit. Now, what is an additional element here is the 10% customs duty, right? Usually we deal with discount, profit and the marked price, but here we also have a customs duty to be considered. So he has to pay 10% customs duty on a watch which costs you rupees 500 abroad. Now, if you understand the meaning of customs duty, this is what you're supposed to pay when you get something from abroad, right? When you kind of cross the port, you're supposed to pay this amount. So 10% on the value of the good there, right? 10% the value of the article. Now this article here costs us how much? 500 rupees outside. So you have to pay 10% of 500, right? 10% of 500, which is 50 rupees. So I can now say you have to actually pay rupees 50 as customs duty. So understand, for the dealer, what is the costing of the watch? He has paid 500 rupees from wherever he has bought it, and then he has paid rupees 50, 10% customs duty at the airport or whichever port he has gone to. So 550 is the costing. 550 is what he has spent in acquiring this article, in getting this article to sell it. Now he desires to make a profit of 20%. Now from our discussion on profit and loss, if you have gone through the videos, you know that profit and loss both are always calculated on the cost price. You have to always measure these on the cost price. So this is 20% of the cost price, right? Profit should always be calculated on the cost price. So 20% of what? 20% of 550 rupees, right? You would go wrong if you take 20% of 500, 20% of 550. How much did I spend in getting the article? 550 rupees. So I should consider 20% of 550, which is 110. So I want to make a profit of 110. Now you know the costing of the article and you know the profit. What will be the selling price? Selling price has to be cost price plus profit, which is 660. All these are simple calculations which can be done mentally. So basically, I should be selling this for rupees 660 to make a profit of 20%, right? Now comes the element of discount. He says he has to also give a discount of 25% to the buyer. So what should be the mark price? So what I finally want to realize is rupees 660, but I also want to show that I am giving a discount of 25%. Now again, if you go back and watch the videos on profit and loss, there is a model number 7 where we have talked about discount and mark price, right? So if the discount is 25%, the selling price is only 75% of the mark price. I mean, the relationship between discount, selling price and mark price goes as follows. If the discount is 25%, here the discount is 25%, which implies the selling price has to be 75% of the mark price. Yes or no? I have marked the item for 100 rupees, let's say. If I say I'm giving a discount of 25%, I'll be giving 25% on 100, which is 25 rupees. So I'll end up selling the article for how much? For 75 rupees, right? So basically selling price is nothing but marked price minus discount. And discount should always be measured on the mark price. Remember, profit and loss have to be measured on the cost price and the discount has to be measured on the mark price. So 25% of mark price has to be discounted. Now we know that the selling price is 660, so just substitute this here. So 660 is going to be 75%, 3/4 of the value, 3/4 of the mark price. Upon simplification, you get the final answer as 880. See, in my view, there's nothing that you need to put on paper here. I mean, if you look at the, do not go by the number of steps that have been put on paper. 500 rupees is the costing, 50 rupees is the customs duty. So my total cost is 550. Profit that I want to make is 20%. 20% of 550 is 110. right? So 550 plus 110, total selling price or the selling price has to be 660 rupees. And then this 660 is only 3/4 of the value, right? Since the discount is 25%, selling price will only be 75%. So 3/4 of what I need is 660. What will be the unit 1 equal to, right? 3/4 is 660, 1 is equal to what? Do that cross multiplication, right? So 880, option 3 is the right answer. 880 is the answer. Yeah. Okay. We have Mohammed Shafi here, who says it should be 500 plus 300 plus 50. Now, Shafi, you got to explain me, how did you arrive at the number 300 there? I understand what is 500. 500 is the cost of the article, or the cost that you have paid abroad. 50 is the customs duty. But how did you get 300? He desires to make a profit of 20%, right? Even if you take 20% of 500, it should be 200 rupee. Sorry, 20% of 500 should be 100. So how do you get to 300? 300. Oh, but you have got the right answer, 880. I don't know how. 500 plus 300 plus 50 is 850. Anyways, piece of cake in my view should not take more than 45 seconds, and ideally you should be able to arrive at the answer without putting pen on paper. Okay, before we move to the next one, Ayushi Singh says please conduct a session on ratio proportion where you deal with question on mixture, like a mixture of alcohol and water like questions. Okay, so Ayushi, for your knowledge, these questions that you're talking about are come under a topic called allegations and mixtures, right? It involves the concept of ratio and proportions, of course, but in simple words, you want me to do a session on allegations and mixtures. What I would suggest you is to go through this arithmetic aptitude part, where we have a series of videos or set of videos available on that concept there, right? Allegations and mixtures. Just refer to that. If you still find it difficult, we would take up some questions in the next session. Let me present the next one now. This again is on profit and loss, and similar to what we had solved in the last one, right? He says a shopkeeper allows 20% discount on his advertised price. Now, advertised price again is like the marked price, the listed price. So a shopkeeper allows 20% discount on his advertised price, and to make a profit of 20, and he has to make a profit of 25% on his outlay. 25% on his outlay. What is the advertised price in rupees on which he gains rupees 6,000? So this time we have been given the numerical, I mean the profit in terms of absolute value, right? He gains rupees 6,000. He wants to give a discount of 20% and make a profit of 25%. So what should be the advertised price? Advertised price here is nothing but the mark price. 30 seconds again. Let's see how many of you get the right answer. Okay, so a couple of answers have come in already. 37,500. I think time is also up, so let me discuss the solution. See what it says. A shopkeeper allows 20% discount on his advertised price, and to make a profit of 25% on his outlay. What is the advertised price on which he gains rupees 6,000? Now, how do we solve this? See, he wants to give a discount of 20% on his advertised price. So discount is 20% of the mark price basically, which means selling price should be how much? 80% of the mark price, right? And he wants to make a profit of 25% on his outlay. He wants to make a profit of 25% on his outlay. So what is the advertised price on which he gains rupees 6,000? How do we go about this? I mean, I'm just looking at the easiest way to arrive at the answer, right? Selling price is going to be 4/5 of the mark price. And his advertised price should be calculated such that his discount, his profit is 6,000 rupees, right? The profit that he wants to make is 6,000 rupees. So what do? See, understand, I think instead of working on these equations, let's assume that the cost price is 100. I mean, just take an ideal case. Let's assume cost price is 100. You want to make a profit of 25%. Profit is 25%, which implies the selling price should be 125 rupees. Yes or no? If you want the profit of 25%, selling price has to be 125 rupees. But then he is given a discount of 20%. He is given a discount of 20%, right? On the advertised price. So if the discount is 20%, we know that selling price is 80% of the mark price. Again, I mean, these equations are actually useful. If you have given a discount of 20%, selling price should be 80% of mark price. So can I say this selling price 125 is 80% of mark price? 80% of M. So from this, M comes out to be what? M will be equal to 125 into 100 by 80. I mean, just solve for this. This is like 5 by 4 times, right? So basically, 125 into 1.25. Yeah. Or 125 plus 25% of 125. 25% of 125 is 31.25. So I think overall it comes out to be 156.25. 156.25. So basically the idea is this: if the cost price is 100 and you want to make a profit of 25%, your selling price should be 125 rupees. And if you also want to give a discount of 20%, then you should be marking the article at 156.25 rupees, right? Now, what is he saying? He says that find out the advertised price. What is the actual market price if the gain is 6,000 rupees? See, 25% here is equal to how much? 25 rupees. 25% here is equal to 25 rupees. Now, what happens is, if this 25 rupees is equivalent to 6,000, this 156.25 rupees is equivalent to what is the question? Are you able to follow? With the cost price is 100 rupees and the profit is 25, and when you want a discount of 20%, the mark price comes out to be 156.25. But then the actual profit is not 25, actual profit is 6,000. So what should be the actual mark price? So basically I can say that 25 rupees is equivalent to 6,000 rupees. 156.25 rupees is equal to what? Cross multiply and you'll get the answer. You're able to follow. Just cross multiply these two and you'll get the answer. So your actual mark price should be equal to 156.25 into 6,000 divided by 25. Of course, the two zeros get cancelled. We can drop the decimal here. Then 15,625 by 25 comes out to be 625 times. Yeah, so 625 into 60 is 37,500. I mean, all these are calculations that you'll have to do. 600 into 60 is 36,000. 25 into 60 is 1,500. So 36,000 plus 1,500 is 37,500. So option 2 is going to be the final answer. Please do not go by the length of the explanation or the number of steps here. It's just about starting with an assumption that the cost price is 100, following the conditions given in the question, and then compare the profit in this assumption case with the real profit, and accordingly find out what is the mark price or selling price or whatever you have to find out. Okay. So if you're clear with this, let's go to the next one. Should we take up the next one? Yeah, I think many of you had got option 2, 37,500 is the answer. Let's look at the next question now. This is on ratio and proportions, again chosen from the last year's SSC CGL Tier 2 paper. Questions on your screens now. In a regiment, the ratio between number of officers to soldiers was 3:31 before the battle. In a battle, 6 officers and 22 soldiers were killed, and the ratio became 1:13. The number of officers in the regiment before the battle was. Number of officers in the regiment before the battle was. You have 45 seconds for this. Your clock starts now. Okay, the time is up. I'm glad that many of you have got the right answer. In fact, all of you have got the right answer, which is option 321. But I'm sure many of you have done a wrong solution. Let me explain this to you. In a regiment, the ratio between the number of officers to soldiers was 3:31, which means O by S is equal to 3 by 31. Before the battle, this is before the battle. Now in the battle, 6 officers and 22 soldiers were killed, and the ratio became 1:13. And the ratio now became 1:13. So it's like this: if the officers is to soldiers ratio is 3:31, can I say the values are 3x and 31x? Yes. Yes or no? Officers are 3 parts, soldiers are 31 parts. So 3x and 31x. Now how many officers were killed? 6 officers. So what should be the remaining officers? 3x officers total minus 6. Out of total 31x soldiers, how many soldiers were killed? 22. So 31x minus 22. This is equal to 1 by 13. This is equal to 1 by 13. Yes or no? 3x minus 6 by 31x minus 22 equals to 1 by 13. I'm sure most of you must have done this. Cross multiply to get the answer. Cross multiply to find out the value of x. So let's do that. What do we get? 13 into 3x. 39x minus 13 into 6. 78 equals to 31x minus 22. Now simplify 39x minus 31x. 8x equals to 78 minus 22 is 56. So basically x comes out to be 7. X is equal to 7. What do we have to find out? See, this is the new ratio, O dash by S dash. So original ratio of officers and soldiers is 3:31. After the battle, when some officers and soldiers got killed, the new ratio O dash is to S dash is to 1:13 is equal to 1:13. So we do this calculation, find out the value of x. He's asking us to find out the number of officers in the regiment before the battle was. How many officers were there in the regiment before the battle? So before the battle is O. Sorry. The value before the battle is O. Now what is O? O is equal to 3x. So if x is 7, we can say O, which is equal to 3x, will be equal to 21. 3 times 7, 21. So option 3 is the answer. Option 3 is the answer, right? Well, yes, all of you have got the right answer, option 3, but in my view, this solution is a waste of time. This is simply a waste of your valuable time in the exam. A smart person will mark the answer to this question in less than 2 seconds. In less than 2 seconds, you will mark option 3 as the answer. And it is obvious that when I say less than 2 seconds, you don't have to put pen on paper. What's the logic? It's simple. You know that the officers is to soldiers, original ratio is 3:31, which means the original number of officers before the battle should be a multiple of 3. The number of officers before the battle. The number of officers before the battle has to be a multiple of 3. Yes or no? Look at the options. What is he asking us to find out? How many officers were there in the regiment before the battle? Whatever the answer be, it has to be a multiple of 3. Is 31 a multiple of 3? No. Is 38 a multiple of 3? No. Is 28 a multiple of 3? No. So obviously option 3 has to be the answer, 21. Right? So now tell me, is it required for us to do all this solution? This is the right solution and nothing wrong with the solution. But when you can get the answer without putting pen on paper, why do you want to do all this? So I'm glad on one hand that all of you have got the right answer, 21. But my question to you all should be, how many of you have followed the SMART method? How many of you have got the answer without putting pen on paper? So let me just check that out. Why don't you just comment smart or stupid? I would say those who all have got the answer without doing paperwork are smart. Any paperwork involved is stupid. So anybody who has done this regular solution has followed a stupid solution. So why don't you just mention smart or stupid in the comment here so that I can see how many of you are solving these questions smartly. I'm sure at least some of you must be feeling that, you know, oh, this was really simple. I made a mistake. I should have done it in a smart way. Yeah, Milan was one of the early responders to this question, but he has followed a stupid solution, and so has Amit Kumar. So guys, simple question. You might be wondering, why did we take it up? Because of this smart, or rather because of this stupidity that most of us do in the exam, right? I think many of you have done the stupid solution. Good. So I think my objective is achieved. I just wanted to make you guys realize that everything that looks simple is not simple. It can be made much more simpler if you follow the smart solution. Yeah, Bhavani, Chandra, Neeraj, most of you have followed the stupid solution. So guys, pull your socks up. There are better ways of solving these questions, right? Just think differently. Let me present the next question to you all, right? Next question is on your screens now. A very simple one. You have just 30 seconds for this. Your clock starts now. Read the question first. 15 movie theaters average 600 customers per theater per day. If 6 of the theaters close down, but the total theater attendance stays the same, then the average daily attendance per theater among the remaining theaters is dash. Got it? All right, time is up. Option 2 is what you guys seem to have got the answer as. Let's see the solution now. So 15 movie theaters average 600 customers per theater per day. 15 theaters on an average 600 customers per theater per day. If 6 of the theaters close down, but the total theater attendance stays the same, then the average daily attendance per theater among the remaining theaters is. So 15 theaters are there, per day we get 600 customers per theater. So what will be the total number of customers? 15 times 600. But now 6 of the theaters close down. If 6 close down, what are remaining theaters? 9 theaters. So what is the average for the remaining 9 theaters if the total theater attendance remains the same? Which means total will remain 15 into 600. But now there are only 9 theaters. So total number of customers divided by the number of theaters available. Do the calculation. This is 5 by 3 times, right? So 200 into 5, 1000 is the answer. Simple. Option 2 is the answer, right? Next one. Here's the next question. Try this. Another one on average. Try this out. This time a little different and a little higher difficult. I mean, the difficulty level is a little higher when compared to the previous one. The batting average for 40 innings of a cricket player is 50 runs. His highest score exceeds his lowest score by 172 runs. If these two innings are excluded, the average of the remaining 38 innings is 48 runs. The highest score of the player is. What is the highest score of the player? What is the highest score of the player? I'll give you about 45 seconds for this. Let me be quiet for the next 45 seconds and I want all of you to focus and get the answer to this one. Your clock starts now. All right. The time is up and let's discuss the solution now. I think most of you have got option 4 as the answer. Now let me solve this question for you first and then explain the smart method. I repeat, even this question can be solved in about 2 seconds. And I don't have to specify that. When you take just 2 seconds to solve a question, you can do that without putting pen on paper. There's no chance of putting pen on paper there. Let's discuss this. So here we go. The batting average for 40 innings of a cricket player is 50 runs. The batting average for 40 innings of a cricket player is 50 runs. His highest score exceeds his lowest score by 172 runs. His highest score exceeds his lowest score by 172 runs. If these two innings are excluded, the average of the remaining 38 innings is 48 runs. The highest score of the player is. What is the highest score of the player? Let me solve this first. So basically the average of 40 matches for a cricket player is 50 runs. So what is the total score? What is the total number of runs that he has made? 50 into 40. Now his highest score exceeds his lowest score by 172 runs. Let's assume his highest score is H. His lowest score is L. So highest score is lowest score plus 172. It exceeds its lowest score by 172. So highest is 172 runs plus the lowest score. That's what is given in the second equation. Highest exceeds lowest by 172. If these two innings are excluded, what do you mean by these two? These two here refers to the highest score and the lowest score. If these two innings are excluded, if they are removed, the average of remaining 38 innings is 48 runs. So total for 50 innings is 50 into 40. Total for remaining 48 is how much? Sorry, total for 40 innings is 50 into 40. Total for remaining 38. Originally there are 40 innings. After the 2 innings are removed, excluded, 38 innings. So total for these 38 innings will be what? 48 into 38. So if you observe, basically the second equation here is H minus L is equal to 172. H minus L equals to 172. Now if you observe, total of 40 is 50 into 40. Total of 38 is 48 into 38. The difference of these two is nothing but H plus L, right? Which two innings have been removed? The highest and the lowest innings have been removed. Strictly speaking, I can take this 40 as 38 innings plus the highest score inning plus the lowest score inning. So basically from these two I can conclude that highest plus lowest is equal to 50 into 40 minus 48 into 38. So you know what is H minus L, you know what is H plus L. Can you not solve the question? He's asking us to find out the highest score. We know that H minus L equals to 172. We know that H plus L is equal to this. In fact, this also is not required. I mean, I am going by the formula for average. You know that the formula for average is equal to sum of all the values by number of values. Right? Sum of all the values by number of values. So here, sum or total is nothing but average into the number of innings. So that's what we are using it here. But if you go by the concept of equal distribution, you need not even worry about these equations. You can directly find out what is going to be H plus L. You understand? You don't have to deal with this complex calculation, 50 into 40 minus 48 into 38. I'm sure this calculation alone would take about 5 to 8 seconds. But you can avoid that. How do you avoid that? Let me explain that. See, I know that there are 40 innings. Average is 50 runs. What do you mean by average? Average is an equal distribution. Average is nothing but an equal distribution. Go by our videos, average videos. Average is considered to be an equal distribution. So basically when you say average of 40 innings is 50 runs, I am trying to say that there are 40 times 50 value. 40 times. I mean each innings he has scored 50. Now, actual case may be different. In some innings, he has scored less than 50. Some innings, he has scored more than 50. Some innings, he has scored equal to 50. But we can say, consider it to be an equal value. So, 40 times we have got the number 50. When highest and the lowest are removed, the remaining 38 innings, the score is 48. So, 48, 48, 48. How many times? Only 38 times. Only 38 times. So, how do you find out the difference of these two? Basically, that's what we are doing here, right? 50 into 40. 50, how many times? 40 times. So 50 into 40. Then 48 into 38. What is 48 into 38? 48. How many times? 38 times. But instead of doing this complex calculation, the simple understanding is, it's like two people have been removed from the group, right? Which are those two people? H and L. What will be the value of H plus L? See, if I go by the original case, H should be 50, L should be 50. Equal distribution, right? The two extra players here are H and L. Two extra values here are H and L. H is 50, L is also 50. So 50 plus 50. I mean, ideally on paper it is 50 plus 50. But then what happened? When H and L left, everything else became 48, 48, 48, 48. That means while they had left, when they were leaving, they collected 2 rupees from each of the remaining 38 people. You're able to follow. It's like this. There were 40 people. There were 40 people in a group. Each person had 50 rupees. When these two persons left, every other person in the group was left with 48 rupees. When these two people were excluded, the average reduced by 48 rupees, which means what? When these two people left, they collected not only their 50 rupees, but they collected 2 rupees from each of the remaining people. So what is the total collection? 2 into 38 times. They collected 2 rupees. See, reduction is how much? 2 rupees, right? 2 rupees minus 2 basically. They've collected 2 rupees from each one of them. How many people? 38 people. Remaining 38 people only. They came with their 50-50, collected 2 rupees from all the remaining people. So 2 into 38. So 50 plus 50 is 100. 2 into 38 is 76. So total H plus L comes out to be 176. I mean, even if you do this right, 50 into 40 minus 48 into 30, you'll get the same thing, 176. So either you do it this way, 50 into 40 minus 48 into 38, or you go by the concept of equal distribution. You go by the concept of equal distribution, you find out H plus L is 176. Finally, it boils down to only one thing, that H plus L is 176, H plus L is equal to 176, and H minus L is equal to 172. He's asking you to find out the highest score. H is equal to what? Solve these two equations. Plus L and minus L gets cancelled. What do we get? H plus H. 2H equals to, this is 348. So which means 1H will be equal to 174. Yes or no? 2H equals to 176 plus 172. H should be exactly in between those two values basically. So 176 and 172, what comes exactly between 176 and 172? 174. Or 348 by 2, which is 174. So option 4, 174 is the answer. Option 4, 174 is the answer. However, if you are a smart person, you will say this is a waste of time. I told you this question can be answered in about 2 seconds. And obviously, when I'm saying we have to just spend 2 seconds, we need not put pen on paper. We need not put pen on paper. So what is a smart technique that can give you the answer in just about 2 seconds? What is a smart technique that can give you the answer in just about 2 seconds? Let me come to the video and explain this. Simple observation is, in the question he says that the highest score exceeds the lowest score by 172 runs. Whatever is the lowest score, the highest score is 172 runs more than that lowest score. Highest score exceeds the lowest score by 172 runs. Now try and understand this statement. If the highest score exceeds some value by 172, obviously the highest score is more than 172. Let's assume lowest score is 1 run. Highest score exceeds the lowest score by 172. So what should be the highest score? 1 plus 172, 173. Let's say the lowest score is 5. Highest score exceeds the lowest score by 5. I mean, highest score exceeds the lowest score by 172, which means it is 172 more than 5. So 172 plus 5 is how much? 177. So one thing is very clear. When I say that highest score exceeds the lowest score by 172, highest score should be more than 172. The only possibility is if the lowest score is 0, then the highest score will be equal to 172. That's one exception, but otherwise, you understand, if the lowest score itself is 0, highest score exceeds lowest score by 172. So 0 plus 172, then the highest score will be 172 itself. But then, in general, highest score should be more than 172. Look at the options. I'll present the question to you all once again. Look at the options. I know that the answer should be more than 172. Option 1, wrong. Option 2, wrong. Option 3, wrong. The only choice is 174. Then why do I do all this drama in the exam? Of course, this also will not take much time. This will take about 45 seconds, not more than that. I mean, explanation has taken so much of time, but when you do it yourself, you know that 15 to 40 minus 48 to 38 is the one value, sum of the two values, and the difference is 172. But then, are we not being stupid by doing all this? Remember, there is a risk involved. The risk is that if the lowest score is 0, then 172 will be the answer. But definitely 165 and 170 are ruled out. Suppose this also is not 172. If it is 170 or 171, anything less than 172, this also gets eliminated. You're able to follow? So when I can get the answer without putting pen on paper, why should I do any paperwork? Why should I do any paperwork? Yeah. Or let's say if there are last 30 seconds left in the exam, and if you come across this question, can you solve it using this paperwork? No, it would be a little tight, right? I mean, you're like last 30 seconds becomes difficult. But if you get the smart idea, you're like, man, I know that 1, 2 are not possible, definitely not possible. 3 is likely, 4 is more likely. Mark option 4, take that risk. Yes or no? So try to be smart. I mean, question is simple, solution can be even more simpler, provided you think divergently, right? So that's the idea, think smartly. Should we go for the next one? Okay, why don't you guys quickly mention if you have followed a smart or a stupid solution? This time again, let me just understand. How many of you have done it in a smart way? How many of you have done it in the stupid method? Prerna has asked a question. Am I late? Prerna, hello. I can see that you've just joined the session. You're not you're not late. You are very late. You are late by like 1 hour and 16 minutes almost. Just 1 hour and 16 minutes. We will close the session in another 45 minutes. But don't worry. Even if you have missed a few questions, you will be able to watch the archive. We will add this video by tomorrow to your account so you can watch it. Okay, so how many of you have done smart solution and how many of you have followed the stupid one? Most of you have done the stupid one again, right? Yeah. So I'm happy. I'm happy that there's something new that you're finding when you're solving these questions again. Otherwise, sometimes students complain that why are we discussing such easy ones? In fact, questions all have been chosen from the last year's paper itself. Yeah. Okay, let me present the next question to you all. This one again is on average. Let's see how many of you get the right answer. You have 1 minute for this. Your clock starts now. All right, time is up. Let's look at the solution now. The average daily income of 7 men, 11 women and 2 boys is 257.5. If the average daily income of the men is rupees 10 more than that of the women, and the average daily income of the women is rupees 10 more than that of the boys, then the average daily income of a man is. So basically he's talking about the average daily income of 7 men, 11 women and 2 boys, which is 257 rupees and 50 paisa. Now he says the average daily income of the men is 10 more than that of the women, and that of the women is 10 more than that of the boys. So what is the average daily income of a man? So let's assume that the average daily income of a boy, average income of a boy is equal to B. So what will that be for a woman? According to the question, the daily income for the woman will be 10 more than that of the boys. 10 more than that of the boys. So it will be B plus 10. And what will be the average income for a man? According to the question again, the average daily income of a man is 10 more than that of a woman. So woman's income is B plus 10. Man's income will be B plus 10 plus 10, which is B plus 20. Again, you don't have to write these steps on paper. I'm writing it here so that you can follow it clearly. But the idea is, if a boy is earning B rupees per day, a woman will earn B plus 10 and a man will earn B plus 20. Now what has he given here? He has given us the average daily income of 7 men, 11 women and 2 boys. 257.5. So write down the equation for that. 7 men. See, each man earns B plus 20. 7 men will earn 7 into B plus 20. Each woman earns B plus 10. 11 women will earn 11 into B plus 10. Right? Each boy earns B. 2 boys will earn 2B. This is the total income. Total income divided by total number of persons. What is total number of persons? 7 plus 11 plus 2. This is equal to 257.5. 7 plus 11 plus 2. 7 men, 11 women and 2 boys. Now simplify this. What happens? 7b plus 11b, 18b plus 2b, 20b plus 7 into 20 is 140, 11 into 10 is 110, 140 plus 110 is 250. Divide by 7 plus 11, 18 plus 2, 20. This is equal to 257.5. Simplify this. What happens? 20 and 20 gets cancelled. Here it goes 12.5 times. So basically, income of a boy, daily income of a boy is 257.5 minus 12.5, which is 245. He's asking us to find out the average daily income of a man. What is the average daily income of a man? B plus 20. Substitute here. So 245 plus 20, 265. Option 3 is the answer. Right? Option 3, 265 will be the answer. So that again is a simple one. You just have to play with one equation and do the calculation to get the answer. Let me bring up the next one for you all. Here we go. This is on selling price and cost price. Try this now. Interesting question. Let's see how many of you get the answer. So he says 4% of the selling price of an article is equal to 5% of its cost price. Again, 20% of the selling price is 120 more than 22% of its cost price. The ratio of cost price and selling price is 45 seconds to 60 seconds, maximum 1 minute. Let's see if you all get the right answer. Guys, I don't understand what you all are doing. At least last 2-3 cases we have seen that your solutions were stupid. This time the question itself is stupid. I am wondering why is it taking so much of time for you guys to arrive at the answer. Option 3, I can see some of you have marked option 3 as the answer. Shravani, Ayushi Singh, Bhavani, Sajid, Milan, Vidya, Neeraj and others there, right? Shashank and Shafi. But why does it take so much of time? This is a stupid question. I repeat, this is a stupid question. Why? The answer to the question is given in the first sentence of the question itself. So if you are doing any sort of calculation there and trying to find out what is the cost price and selling price to get the answer, then I think you are just wasting your precious time. Let me explain what needs to be done there, right? Here we go. See, 4%, the question says 4% of the selling price of an article is equal to 5% of its cost price. 4% of selling price. So I can say 4S is equal to 5C. 4% is 4 by 100. 5% is 5 by 100. By 100 anyway gets cancelled. So 4% of a selling price of the selling price of an article is equal to 5% of its cost price. Again, 20% of the selling price. 20% of the selling price is 120 more than 22% of its cost price. 22% of cost price plus 120. Alright, two equations given to us. Then the ratio of cost price and selling prices. So basically, what usually most of the students would do is, there are two equations. This is equation number 1. This is equation number 2. Two equations and two variables, C and S. Can you not solve? Yes. So solve for the two equations. Solve for S and C. And then find out the ratio of C to S. Right? The question is C is to S is equal to what? C is to S equals to what? I am sure a very simple question. You can substitute one equation into the other and solve it, right? But why do we have to do that at all? The first equation itself is the answer, right? From the first equation, can you not say C by S is equal to 4 by 5? 4S equals to 5C, so C by S equals to 4 by 5. Cost price is to selling price, the ratio is 4 is to 5. Option 3 is the answer. I'm sure at least a few of you have tried solving the two equations, which is not required. 4% of the selling price is 5% of cost price, which means the ratio of cost price to selling price is 4 is to 5. As simple as that. So option 3 is the right answer. I'm glad that many of you got option 3. Some of you have marked option 4, 5 is to 4, 4 is to 5 confusion. But then, why are you even solving it? This is really stupid. Not the solution. The question itself is stupid. And then if you try doing something there to solve it, then it's even more stupid. Now tell me, what did you do? Did you mark the answer directly or were you solving it? Quick, stupid or smart? That's the question again. Have you been stupid with this one? I would rather say, have you been stupid with the stupid one or smart with the stupid one? Chandani Priya says, this time I did it in a smart way. Good. And so has Vidya Rajan, Amit Kumar and Mohammed Shafi. Good. I'm glad that you guys did not solve it. How many of you have solved it? Let me understand that. How many of you have actually tried solving this question? Shashank is also, but then you guys took a lot of time. See, I agree that I can see that all of you have mentioned that you have done smart way, but why did it take so much of time? I did not get the answers instantly, right? You guys took some 1 to 1.5 minutes, to comment for this solution. Chandra Neeraj is the first one to accept that he has been stupid, right? So Neeraj, this was really stupid, right? You may not agree with the previous 2 questions, but this one was really stupid. Who else? Everybody else has played the smart. Milan says, I was thinking if the question is correct or not. Okay, good. I think let's move to the next one now. The next question is from time and distance, or boats and streams rather. Let me present this to you. This looks a little tricky. I would leave you with this for 1 minute after I present the question, and here we go. So he says, on a river, Q is the midpoint between points P and R on the same bank of the river. A boat can go from P to Q and back in 12 hours, and from P to R in 16 hours and 40 minutes. How long would it take to go from R to P? How long would it take to go from R to P? 1 minute. The clock starts now. Okay, the first answer has come in from Neeraj, who's got 3 1/3 hours, option 1. Mahata has skipped it. And Chandrahas Yadav says that there is no mention on the flow of river. Well, yeah, that's true. There's no direct mention about the flow of the river. Milan has got option 4, 7 1/3 hours. Looks like this is a complex one, right? Many of you are stuck. Only 2 of you have got the answer. Let me wait for a few more seconds. Let's see if more people add the answer here. All right, so let's take up the solution. I think enough time has been given. Looks like a little tricky one, but if you analyze the question properly, you can solve it without any difficulty. So here's the question. On a river, Q is the midpoint between 2 points P and R on the same bank of the river. A boat can go from P to Q and back in 12 hours, and from P to R in 16 hours 40 minutes. How long would it take to go from R to P? Right, so only time taken to travel for the boat from one point to other is given to us, right? He says on a river, Q is the midpoint between P and R, So let's say these are the points P and R, right? And Q is the midpoint. On the same bank of the river, right? Now, a boat can go from P to Q and back in 12 hours. A boat can go from P to Q and back from Q to P in 12 hours. And from P to R in 16 hours and 40 minutes. And from P to R, from point P to R in 16 hours and 40 minutes. How long would it take to go from R to P? See, understand, we are not sure about the flow of the river. Is the river flowing from P to Q to R in this direction, right? Or is it flowing from R to Q to P, right? That's not known to us. However, the one point which is known to us here is, in fact, 2 points that are known to us is, from P to Q and back, the boat will go from P to Q and back in 12 hours, and from P to R, one full length in 16 hours and 40 minutes. So how long will it take to go from R to P is the question. Remember, don't be under an impression that from P to R, if it takes 16 hours and 40 minutes, from R to P also it should take 16 hours and 40 minutes. Why cannot it be the same time? Because we are talking about a river. A river is the one where the water flows. It's either flowing in this direction or in this direction. So when you are moving with the flow of the water, you will take lesser time. When you are moving against the flow of the water, you take more time, right? So if P to R takes 16 hours and 40 minutes, R to P will not take 16 hours and 40 minutes. It will be more or less, right? It's not a road, it's a river. Okay. Now the point is, from P to R, if this takes 16 hours and 40 minutes, right? Can I conclude that from P to Q, to travel only half of the distance, it should take 8 hours and 20 minutes? You're able to follow? And let me in fact draw single-headed arrows so that we don't get confused, right? Let me remove these heads here. Okay, from P to R, when you're going in this direction, when you are going from P to R, it takes 16 hours and 40 minutes. So from P to Q, since the distance is half, see total distance, if this is D, remember Q is the midpoint. Q is the midpoint between P and R. So if P to Q is D, Q to R is also D. So P to R takes 16 hours and 40 minutes. P to Q will take only 8 hours and 20 minutes. Half distance, half time. Whether it is upstream, downstream, that's not the point. Irrespective of whether it is upstream or downstream, irrespective of whether the flow is upstream or downstream, if total 2D takes 16 hours and 40 minutes, D in the same direction will take half of the time. Half distance, half of the time. Right? Now go back to the earlier statement given to us. What's the other statement known to us? That a boat will take 12 hours from P to Q. From P to Q and back from Q to P, the boat will take how many hours? 12 hours. Out of these 12 hours, I know that from P to Q it takes 8 hours and 20 minutes. One side. So if this is 8 hours and 20 minutes, what should be the other side? It should be 3 hours and 40 minutes. Yes or no? Only then the sum will be 12 hours, right? The sum of P to Q and Q to P should be 12 hours. If this takes 8 hours and 20 minutes, the other side in the opposite direction should take 3 hours and 40 minutes. So that makes it 11 hours plus 60 minutes, which is 12 hours. Yes or no? So the point is from Q to P, it has taken 3 hours and 40 minutes. What is he asking us to find out? The time taken to travel from R to P. From R to P. See, time taken to travel from R to P should be equal to twice the time taken to travel from Q to P. And time taken to travel from Q to P is equal to 3 hours and 40 minutes. That's it, you've got the answer. So 3 hours and 40 minutes multiplied by 2, 6 hours and 80 minutes. 80 minutes is like 1 hour and 20 minutes. So 6 hours plus 1 hour, 7 hours and 20 minutes is the answer. 7 hours 20 minutes is 7/1 by 3 hours, which is option 4. Explanation has taken so much of time. Remember, explanation has taken this much of time. When you solve it yourself, it will take more than 30 seconds. Okay. So total time required from P to R is 16 hours and 40 minutes, which means half of the distance will take only 8 hours and 20 minutes. So P to Q is 820. So obviously Q to P should be 340. Only then the total will be 12 hours. If Q to P is 340, then R to P will be twice of Q to P. Right? So 7 hours and 20 minutes, option 4 is the answer. I hope all of you have followed this. Yeah? Ravindra Srivastava has mentioned the right explanation, right? He has given the right explanation. 3 hours and 40 minutes plus 3 hours and 40 minutes. 7 hours and 20 minutes, which is 7/1 by 3 hours. See, 20 minutes is equal to 1/3 of an hour. So 7 hours and 20 minutes can be taken as 7/1 by 3 hours. So if all of you have followed this, I can go for the next one. Clear? Should we take up the next one? Srinivas Rao said that the stream speed is not given. Somebody said the direction is not given. Chandrahas Yadav said no mention of flow of river is given. All that is not required. Just based on times given there, you can solve it. I don't have to find out the speed of the stream or the speed of the boat or whether it is going upstream from P to Q or downstream from P to Q. All that is not required. It's a simple one, just that you got to, think in the right direction. Okay. Let's take up the next one. Now, the next question is from mensuration. You know that mensuration carries a good weightage in SSC exams, especially in the SSC Tier 2 exam. So you got to be thorough with all the formulae from mensuration, be it 2D or 3D geometry. Let us solve a couple of questions from mensuration as well. So the first question from mensuration for this particular session is this one. A rectangular park 60 by 40 has 2 concrete crossroads running in the middle of the park, and the rest of the park has been used as a lawn. If the area of the lawn is 2109, then the width of the road is. Now this is exactly similar to one of the questions that we have discussed in the topic of mensuration. So if you have gone through all the videos of mensuration that we have, you should be able to solve this in about 40 seconds maximum. Yeah. So let's see how many of you get the right answer. You have to find out the width of the path. Standard question. It cannot be changed. Only numbers can change. The values all will remain the same. Only numbers can change. The format will remain the same. 3 meters. All right. So let's discuss the solution now. A rectangular park 60 meter long and 40 meter wide has 2 concrete crossroads running in the middle of the park, and the rest of the park has been used as a lawn. If the area of the lawn is 2109 meters square, then the width of the road is. So let's try this. So basically we have a rectangular park 60 meter long and 40 meter wide, right? 60 meters and 40 meters. Now it has two rectangular crossroads, two concrete crossroads running in the middle of the park. So basically there's a crossroad like this. I mean there's one road parallel to the breadth, the other road parallel to the length. So it becomes like a crossroad, right? So this is the crossroad. Now the rest of the rectangular park is used as a lawn. You see, in the middle of the park. I mean, they're running in the middle of the park, and the rest of the park has been used as lawn. So this is lawn, this is lawn, this is lawn, and this is lawn. Basically, I mean, this area is being used as lawn. So area of the lawn is 2109. Then what is the width of the road? Let's assume that, see, width of the road is this. Let's assume that the width of the road is W, right? This is the width of the road, right? W. You can see that, right? W is the width of the road. So he says that the area of the lawn is 2109. Now, how do you get the area of the lawn? See, area of the lawn will be equal to the area of the rectangle minus the area of the crossroads. Or in other words, I can say, what is the area of the crossroads? Or let's do it like this only. Area of the lawn will be equal to area of the rectangle minus area of crossroads. Yes or no? So from the total area of the rectangle, if I subtract the area of the crossroads, I'll get the area of the lawn. Now go by this equation. What is the area of the lawn according to the question? 2109. What is the area of the rectangle? Length is 60, breadth is 40. 60 into 40. Right? Minus area of the crossroads. Now how do you get the area of the crossroads? See, understand. There are two crossroads, right? What will be the area of this road? If you see, this is like another rectangle. Another rectangle where this length is 60. This is 60 and this is W. So 60 into W. Plus, what is this? This is the other cross. I mean, this is the other road. There are two roads basically. This is the other road. The vertical one. Right? What happens in the vertical one? This is another rectangle. And for this rectangle, the length is 40. It is parallel to the breadth, right? So this is 40 and the width is W. So 40 into W. Right? But one important point is in the process of taking the area of the two roads, there is one section which has been counted twice. You see this section here. This area was counted in the vertical road. It was counted in the horizontal road as well, which means you have counted this particular shaded region twice. So you have to subtract that once. And how do you get the area of this one? See, this is W. This also is W. So this is like a square. And area of this will be W square. So subtract W square. It may look a little complex initially, but if you have solved such questions in the past or if you have understood this, then next time onwards it should be very, very easy. This is a very standard question like I've mentioned. Yeah. So basically I know the area of the lawn, area of the rectangle and area of the crossroads in terms of the width. So area of the crossroads should be taken as length of the rectangle into width of the road plus breadth of the rectangle into width of the road minus W square. Why are we subtracting W square? Because this region has been counted twice. Now solve for W. That's what is required. He's asking us to find the width of the road, which is W. Yes or no? What is the width of the road? Solve for W. So I can say, see, look at this. 60W plus 40W is 100W. Let me take the whole set on the other side. So 60W plus 40W, 100W minus W squared equals to 60 into 40 is 2400 minus 2109. So 2004 minus 2109 is 291. So this becomes a quadratic equation basically. W squared minus 100W plus 291 equals to 0. Upon solving, you will get W. I mean, there are two values. W is equal to 3 or 97. W will come out to be 3 or 97. I mean, you know how to solve a quadratic equation, right? Substitute 3 or 97, you will get the solution to this one. But then, can the width be 97? Try and understand. When the length itself is 60, how can the width of the road be 97? It cannot be more than 60, right? 97 will be more than 60. Is it possible? No. So 97 is ruled out. The width has to be 3. Option 1 is the answer. Okay, option 1 is the answer. So when you solve it in the exam, you just have to, work on this equation. You should start from here directly. You should not be wasting your time in drawing the diagram and all that. You know that area of the crossroads will be area of the rectangle minus area of the lawn. Area of the crossroads is length into width plus breadth into width minus width square. Okay, so option 1, 3 meter is the answer. Let's take up the next question. Okay, here's another question on mensuration. Let's see how many of you get this right. This time is talking about circles. 4 circles of equal radii are described about the 4 corners of a square so that each touches 2 of the other circles. If each side of the square is 140 centimeter, then the area of the space enclosed between the circumference of the circle is. And he says take pi equals to 22 by 7. Let's see how many of you get this right. We have just 10 minutes left for the session, so I want to solve as many questions as possible. Anyway, we'll have one more session on quantitative abilities where we'll take up the other interesting ones. Let's solve at least 2-3 more questions before we wind up. So be quick with this one now. 4 circles which are around a square in such a way that each circle touches the other 2 circles. Got it? 4,200. All right. So let's try this now. 4 circles of equal radii are described about the 4 corners of a square so that each touches 2 of the other circles. If each side of the square is 140 centimeter, then the area of the space enclosed between the circumference of the circle is. So what's actually happening here? There is a square, right? Understanding the diagram is very, very important. So he says there are 4 circles of equal radii described about 4 corners of the square. So these are the 4 corners of the square. So on each corner we have a circle. Now the circles have been drawn in such a way that each circle touches 2 of the other circles. Each circle touches 2 other circles. So how would you draw this? It will be like this. Each circle touches 2 of the other circles. Okay, let me just, of course the diagram and all is not required for the exam, but let me draw it in a way that it looks a little. So this is first circle. Here's the second one. Okay, it's not looking like a circle. I'm sorry about the bad drawing skills that I have, but this is the second circle. Here's the third one. And here's the fourth one. Okay, this is how it has been drawn. So if you observe, each circle, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, each circle touches 2 other circles. First one touches 2 and 4th, second and fourth one, second one touches first and third one, third is touching second and fourth one, fourth is touching first and third one. Now he is asking us, and he says that each side of the square is 140. So basically the length is 140, right? Total length is 140. Obviously if the length is 140, see the radius of the circle will be what? From the center to this circumference, 70. The radius of each circle will be 70, right? All of them are of equal radii, right? 70 and 70 basically. So he says find the area of the space enclosed between the circumference of the circle. Area of the space enclosed between the circumference of the circle. So which area are we referring to? We are referring to this area. This is this area between the circumference. What is this area is the question. This area. That shaded area. How do you get that area? Required area is here nothing but from the area of the square, from the total area of the square, if I subtract the area of these 4 regions, see 1, 2, 3, 4. So from the square, if you subtract these 4 components, we'll be left out with the remaining area. That's what is required. Now if you see, there's no point in finding out each area separately here. Like this is like a quarter circle, this is another quarter, this is the third quarter, this is the fourth quarter, but 4 quarters put together will make 1 circle. So instead of calculating area of quarter 1, area of quarter area of first circle, quarter area of second circle, quarter area of third circle and so on, I can simply say that these 4 quarters together will make 1 full circle. So area of the square minus area of circle, that's it. Right? So if you draw and understand the figure properly, it's simple. He's asking you to find out the difference between the area of a square and area of a circle, where square side is 140, the radius of the circle is 70. Remember, radius is 70 from the center of the circle to the circumference. So what is area of a square? 140 square, side square, minus area of a circle, pi r square, 22 by 7 into r square, 70 into 70. So I think this can be taken 10 times. So 140 square can be taken as 140 into 2 into 70, and this is 22 into 10 into 70. I'm just doing this so that calculation becomes easy, right? 70 can be taken common. So 70 into, if I take 70 common, 140 into 2 is 280, 22 into 10 is 220. So 70 into 60 basically. What is 70 into 60? 4,200. Option 1 will be the answer. Yeah, 4,200 is the answer. I hope all of you have understood this. Somebody is asked, are the circles inside or outside? I mean, the only point that you have to understand is each circle touches the other two circles. So the only way we can draw it is that center of the circle is on the corner of the square. Center of the circle is on the corner of the square. Okay. Hope all of you have understood this. Can we go for the next one? Yeah, I think time is almost up, but let's take maybe one more question before we call it a day. Should we go for the next one? Next one. All right, Neeraj has confirmed that we can jump for the next one. Let's take one more question from mensuration. Like I've told you, mensuration carries a good weightage, both in the preliminary examination as I mean the tier 1 examination as well as the tier 2 exam here. So let's take like one more question from mensuration here. Try this again, an interesting one. The amount of concrete required to build a concrete cylindrical pillar whose base has a perimeter of 8.8 meters and curved surface area of 17.6 square meters. Try this. Interesting one. There's a cylindrical pillar. The perimeter of the base is 8.8. Perimeter is nothing but the circumference. And the curved surface area is 17.6 square meter. You have 1 minute for this. Your clock starts now. All right, let's look at the solution now. So the amount of concrete required to build a concrete cylindrical pillar whose base has a perimeter of 8.8 meters and curved surface area of 17.6 square meter is. So basically we have to find out the amount of concrete required to build a concrete cylindrical pillar. So basically understand, amount of concrete here refers to the volume. You understand? Concrete is the amount of solid required to build this concrete cylindrical pillar, right? So this is how the pillar would look like. This is a cylindrical pillar, let's say. Okay. So the question tells us that the base has a perimeter of 8.8. See, base is circular, right? This perimeter is 8.8. So can I say, let's say the radius is r. The radius is r. The height is h. Height is h. So according to the question, the base perimeter of the base is nothing but the circumference. So 2 pi r equals to 8.8, and the curved surface area is 17.6. Curved surface area is this area of this circular wall, right? That is 17.6. What is curved surface area for a cylinder, by the way? Curved surface area for a cylinder is 2 pi rh. That is equal to 17.6. Now, two equations and two unknowns, r and h. Can you find out? Yes. Solve for r and h. What is he asking us to find out? The amount of concrete. Amount of concrete is how much is the filling required here. That filling is nothing but the volume of the cylinder. What is the volume of a cylinder? Pi r square h. Volume V, pi r square h is equal to what? That's the question. Sorry. Pi r square h is equal to what? You getting it? Pi r square h equals to what? How do you solve this? How do you solve this question? Solve for r and h basically. See, it's simple. I think 2 pi r is equal to 8.8, right? Substitute in place of this. So what do we get? We get 8.8 into h equals to 17.6. So straight away we know that height is equal to 2. 17.6 by 8.8 is 2. Height is 2. H is equal to 2. And r also has to be calculated. Yeah? Now calculate r. I mean 2 pi r equals to 8.8, so you can easily find out r, right? How do you get r there? From this equation I can say 2 into 22 by 7 into r equals to 8.8. So that's like 22 into 2 is 44. 44 here goes 0.2 times. R is equal to 0.2 into 7, 1.4. So you know the radius, you know the height, substitute in this formula. Right? So we want volume. Volume will be equal to pi r square h. So 22 by 7 into r square, 1.4 into 1.4 into h. H is equal to 2. So this goes 0.2 times. Sorry, h is equal to 2. Yeah, pi r square h, 7 goes 0.2 times. So final answer will be what? 22 into 0.2 into 1.4 into, see 0.2 into 2 is 0.4, 0.4 into 1.4 is 0.56. So this is like 22 into 0.56. I mean, I'm sure that option 1, option 2 and option 3 are wrong. So option 4 has to be the correct answer. Let me not waste my time in doing this calculation. The understanding is, say this is 22 into 0.56. 22 into 0.5 itself is 11. 0.5 is half, right? 0.5 is half. 0.56 is more than half. So 22 into 0.5 is 22 into half, which is 11. So 22 into 0.56 should be more than 11. I know that the answer should be more than 11. Look at the options. First is 8 point something. Second is 9 point something. Third is 10.5. These cannot be the answers. And hence option 4 has to be the answer. Okay. Option 4 can be taken as the correct answer. So the point is, you need not solve it fully, or you need not do the complete calculation to get the right answer. It's always suggest that you throw a glance at the options before you proceed with the final calculation, right? Because you will save a lot of time if options can be eliminated in this fashion. I don't know how many of you have actually done the calculation to get 12.32. I am not saying you cannot multiply. 22 into 56 is a simple calculation, right? 22 into 56 is a simple calculation. But then do we really need to do that is a question. Now again, before I close the session, I think this is the last question. We will meet again in the next session of Quantitative Abilities Part 2, where we will discuss more questions. But before I leave you guys, again, I have the same question for all of you. Did you do the complete calculation to get 12.32, or were you able to do it in the smart way? There are a number of ways to arrive at the answer. I mean, maybe some of you did not even multiply 0.2 with 1.4 with 2. But then overall, you got to understand that. Or maybe you can use unit digit method. I mean, that's another thing. I am only getting that idea now when I look at the options, right? First 3 options are ending in 5. Last option is ending in 2. I know that the answer will end with 2. I'm pretty sure that the answer will end with 2. Answer cannot end with 5. And hence first 3 options are wrong. So are you using these kind of ideas? Are you able to get these kind of ideas in the first place is the question, right? If these ideas do not strike you, then you got to work towards it, right? I mean, why do we say practice and practice and practice? So that you get such ideas during the exam. It's not about solving. You need not solve the question to get the right answer, right? Smartness lies in solving. I mean, smartness lies in getting the right answer without having to solve the question. By doing things like what we have seen in the session today. So keeping this as the main focus, try and solve more and more questions and keep practicing. I think that's the only shortcut. All right. So thank you once again for joining us in this session. I hope all of you have enjoyed this. Please refer to the events calendar for the details of the upcoming sessions, right? This is the first session as a part of the 8-session series that we have planned for you. We have 7 more sessions coming up every Tuesday and every Thursday till your SSC CGL Tier 2 examination. Okay, all the very best, keep practicing, and yes, take very good care of yourselves. I'll see you all in the next session. Bye.